Today we're going to get into a classic moral tale. One of those stories that really reminds you that a person's true character, well, it doesn't show up when life is easy. It's revealed when they're under pressure. It's a story all about friendship, betrayal, and ultimately, the test of truth. And this idea right here, this is the absolute heart of the story. So as we meet the characters, I want you to just keep this quote in the back of your mind, because this whole definition of friendship, it's about to be put through the ringer. Okay, so our story kicks off in this small village, and it centers on two woodcutters. They've been inseparable since they were kids. You've got Keshav, who's honest and hardworking, and then there's his friend Harya, who, well, he seems loyal. And you pretty much see their whole dynamic right away. They're out in the forest, and Harya starts complaining that he's tired. And Keshav, being the guy he is, believes a friend's burden is his own and just insists on doing the work for both of them. But while Keshav is busy toiling away, Harya's in the background secretly smirking, kind of proud of himself for pulling it off. In that one little moment, you see everything you need to know. Really, the whole conflict between them boils down to their values. Keshav is perfectly happy with his simple life, but Harya and his wife, Vimla, they're deeply, deeply dissatisfied. She's always pushing him, complaining about being poor, dreaming about having jewels and a higher status. They couldn't be living in more different worlds.
So this tension that's just been simmering under the surface, it is about to explode. And that's because a new player enters the scene, the village zamindar, or landlord. To everyone in public, he seems like this kind, benevolent figure. But behind that mask, he is a cunning, greedy man, and he's got his eyes on the one valuable thing Keshav actually owns, his ancestral land.
And the landlord's plan is, you gotta admit, as clever as it is cruel. First, he gets Keshav to trust him by offering to buy all his wood. Then, he fakes a robbery and get this, he personally goes and plants 4 fake jewels in Keshav's little hut. The final move? A public accusation, right in front of the entire village council.
But here is where the plot takes a weird turn. When the village council goes to search Keshav's home, they don't find the 4 jewels the landlord said were stolen. They only find 2. Now you'd think that would matter, but nope. For the council, finding any jewels is all the proof they need. He's guilty. And just so we're all on the same page, the panchayat is basically the traditional village council. They're the ones who handle justice, and whatever they say, goes. So for Keshav, their verdict is going to be absolutely devastating.
Keshav is pleading, saying he's innocent, but nobody's listening. The evidence, even though it's kind of incomplete, just seems too strong. And in one single crushing moment, he loses it all. He loses his land, the very last thing he had from his parents, and he loses his good name. But hang on, why were only 2 jewels found? This is where a whole second layer of deceit comes into the story. It turns out the landlord wasn't the only one with a greedy little plan. The answer is Harya's wife, Vimla. She was so driven by this endless desire for wealth that she actually saw the landlord plant the jewels. Thinking they were real, she snuck into her supposed friend's home and stole 2 of them. She had no idea she was stealing worthless fakes and basically sealing the deal on an innocent man's conviction. So you see how the trap just snapped shut perfectly? The landlord's lie was made even worse by Vimla's theft, and all of it led straight to the panchayat declaring Keshav guilty. In the final, bitter irony, when Harya and Vimla try to sell their stolen treasures, they find out it's all just cheap glass. Their greed got them absolutely nothing. Okay, this right here might be the most heartbreaking moment in the whole story. Harya, who knows for a fact that his wife stole from Keshav's hut, goes to confront his supposed best friend. He doesn't offer help, he doesn't offer support. Instead, he pretends to be disappointed, he questions Keshav's honesty and says he just can't trust him anymore. And with that, the betrayal is complete. Keshav is totally and utterly alone. So Keshav is framed, he's been abandoned, and the villains think they've gotten away with it. But one lie always needs another one to protect it, and their desperate attempt to cover their tracks is about to bring the whole thing crashing down. So it turns out Harya's own mother, a woman named Savitri, overhears the entire disgusting story. She is horrified, and she tells them she's going straight to the panchayat to expose them. Harya and Vimla panic, and they make a truly chilling decision. Vimla drugs her mother-in-law's water, and once they think she's unconscious, they carry her deep into the forest and just leave her there to die. But here's the twist. Savitri had a bad feeling, so she only pretended to drink the drugged water. She was awake the entire time. She was fully conscious as her own son carried her into the woods, planning to leave her for dead, and she heard every single word of his betrayal. The next morning, who should find Savitri wandering, completely distraught, in the forest? None other than Keshav. She just breaks down and tells him everything about the fake jewels, about Vimla stealing them, and about her own son trying to murder her. The full, ugly truth is finally out in the open.
So now Keshav knows everything. But what can he possibly do? It's his word, and he's been branded a thief against the respected landlord and his former best friend. How in the world is he supposed to prove his innocence and bring these people to justice?
While Keshav, now that he has the truth, he comes up with this brilliant plan. And he gets some help from Savitri's brother, who happens to be a wealthy man named Seth Danichand. They decide they're going to fight fire with fire. They're going to use the villain's own greed as bait for a counter-trap. The plan was actually pretty simple, but it was masterful. Keshav goes to Harya and tells him that Savitri's rich brother is planning to give her his entire fortune. Then he offers Harya this fake deal: trade his own small property right now for that huge inheritance down the line. Harya, who thinks his mother is dead, believes he's about to become incredibly rich. He eagerly agrees and pulls out the deeds to his property. And at that exact moment, in walks Savitri and her brother, catching him completely red-handed. And after that, everything happened pretty quickly. With their greed laid bare for the entire village to see, the landlord, Harya, and Vimla were stripped of everything and banished. Savitri was finally safe, and Keshav's name was cleared. Justice at last was served. But the story has one more incredible twist. Savitri's brother, the Seth, is just so moved by Keshav's unwavering integrity, by his kindness through all of this, that he does something amazing. He deeds all of his property to Keshav, making sure that both he and Savitri will be taken care of for the rest of their lives. Keshav's good character didn't just win his reputation back, it earned him a future and a new family.
And that really brings us to our final thought here. The landlord's one single act of greed started this chain reaction of lies and theft and even attempted murder. It's just such a powerful reminder of how quickly a small deception can spiral out of control. And it really makes you wonder, right? Where in our own lives do we see that same principle play out? Thanks for joining me for this one.